All right. So, remote desktop protocol. That's what we're after this week. Not really a whole lot of lecture to do. I'm just going to do a little bit of show and tell, show you how to do this kind of thing, show you where to go to turn it on and off and all that. But let's look at the lab. Here's what I need you to get done. So those two VMs that we've been working on, 2 labs ago, Chapter 13 lab, the imaginary Chapter 13 lab, we were using 2 VMs. Those will both need to come up, and they must be on the same network. So same as they were in that same lab, they need to be able to communicate to each other. So that NAT network you have to use. Here, I remind you, that's what that is. So in this lab, take a look at the IP addresses of both VMs so you know where you are and where you're going. And on one of the VMs, enable RDP, which is the Remote Desktop Protocol. From the other VM, use Remote Desktop Connection, and you can type these things directly into the Start menu, so you don't have to go searching for it in the control panel or something like that. And then type the IP address of the VM that you turned on RDP on. And then right before you click Connect, take a screenshot of the Remote Desktop Connection window. So looking here, take a screenshot of the first VM's IP, the second VM's IP, right before you click the Connect button in Remote Desktop Connection, and then show me that you are connected. And the dead giveaway to a Remote Desktop Connection, a Remote Desktop Protocol connection, is there's a blue bar up in the top that you'll need to see to kind of really prove that it is what you're saying that it is. So, all right, so let's run through this. I mean, I think you'll be surprised just how easy it is. So, usually you can get away with just typing in remote. But yeah, what you want is to see this. Remote desktop settings. Now, I've already turned it on. I just tested it a little earlier. So you will see it show up like this. It will be disabled. Click on that. Flip that switch on. It'll double check with you because Remote Desktop Protocol is actually not the safest thing in the world to be turning on, especially if the machine that you're turning it on is facing the internet. We have had a huge surge of machines getting hacked, essentially, by just simply having Remote Desktop on. It is not a safe protocol to be using on the internet. If you are on your own network like we are here, then it is safer, but if any malicious actor were to get onto your network, you would be in the same boat, where they would be able to leverage Remote Desktop Protocol to break into a machine, which then further you would want to set up VLANs, which you guys will, if you haven't studied yet, you will see next semester. And just you need to take the correct security posture for Remote Desktop Protocol. Otherwise, bad things can happen. Will they happen? I don't know. You might get lucky, might not. But the idea is that if you're going to be turning this stuff on, you need to pay attention to what it's doing and why it's there. So anyhow, long story short, we can put that to the side for this lab. We just want to get the use of Remote Desktop Protocol going. So anyway, flip it on, hit confirm, and you can leave these settings as default. These things really just, when you flip it on, that confirm is really just turning on firewall entries so that you're able to do all this stuff. So you need to verify your IP addresses. Obviously, do that with ipconfig. I don't know, I just had this crazy urge that I didn't press the record button, but I did. So, same, ipconfig. Just make sure, and seriously, if you see 10.0.2.15, you've done it wrong. Well, okay, that might actually be the IP address you get, but if you see 10.0.2.15 on both machines, then you really have done it wrong. So in my case, this is a big reason why I choose a separate network than the 10.0.2 network that it defaults to, so that I can just verify at a glance that I do have the IP addresses that I'm looking for. So this one has 8, and this one has 9, which is good. We were messing with the firewall before. Usually what I try to do is ping to make sure that everything is working. You can do that both ways, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to set this one up to be the connecting box. I'm going to connect to the other machine from this box as I've turned RDP on over here. So there's really nothing else that you need to do. Now that you have the IP address, you can quite literally find remote desktop connection and then type in the IP address. So I've already connected, so it's got my username remembered. But for the first time, it's going to 10.02. You type in the IP address, you click connect, and it's just going to come up with this box, but you'll have to type in the username. So the considerations that you have here, when you're typing in the username, you have two choices. Two groups of people are allowed to Remote Desktop Connect. Number one, administrators. Anybody in the administrators group is allowed to use Remote Desktop Protocol. The first user that you create on a Windows machine is typically always added to the administrators group. So you're free to use that user. But since we were using, let me see, local users, or not, cool, it's fine. It's fine. I'll do it the old-fashioned way. Thanks, Windows, for not finding what I wanted. Here, you can say, because we created a couple of users, you can come in here, member of, you can add them to, there's a remote desktop users group. Here, let's just do find now. Let me show you what I'm doing here. So when you have nothing in there, you can click on advanced. And what? Oh, okay. Well, just a find now will find you the whole list of everybody. And then there are these guys. This group. Remote desktop users. So this group will allow anybody that is not in the administrators group to utilize remote desktop. So this is pretty nifty when you want users, maybe they're on like a machine that is not necessarily trusted. If it has remote desktop protocol, they can remote into their own machine and do work the same as they were sitting in front of their machine. So you can add them to that group, click OK, double check that, right? That it is that, hit apply. So this would allow Billy to remote into this machine here, into this machine. But only as him, not as anybody else. He doesn't get any extra privileges for that. He is just able to remote desktop in. So in my account, type in my password, hit OK. It will give you this. So what this basically says is there's not a central server that will tell me that the identity of this machine is valid, right? So if this machine got changed or something like that, I would never know it. There wouldn't be anybody, any central authority telling me that this is cool to do. So I just have to trust that the other side is valid, that it's not been compromised in any way. Now, in my case, I own both of the machines, right? No one else has touched these machines, so I'm 99.999% sure that there's nothing gone wrong with these machines or they've been tampered with or anything like that. So it's just something that you need to think about when you see messages like these. Has anybody had the opportunity or the motive or the whatever to mess with my machines? And if the answer is no to any of those questions, you can just click yeah. Or if you're lazy and don't care, you just click yeah. Don't even think about it, right? And there it is. So what happens? The current user is logged out, and the session is now remote. So that means that this is no longer the original VM. What I'm seeing on this screen is coming over the network from this VM. So, depending on how the sessions are set up, we'll leave that up. Yep, that'll kick me out. And I know it's kind of weird because here, you know what? I'm going to do it one more time. This should do it, right? Hello from RDP. But just to make sure that it's sinking in, let's do this. So VM1 is on that wallpaper. VM2 is on that wallpaper. So we'll go through that one more time. There'll be a better marker of what this means. Yep. And there it is. So just to be easily visible, checking out that RDP there. And then you can close this box. It'll disconnect you, drop you back to your original desktop, and now this guy can log back in. There are way better ways to do troubleshooting over the network, but RDP is a good way to do it. It's all built in. There's nothing you have to install or add. You just have to turn that switch on. You can do that through policy. You'll see that next semester. Say you got 100 computers and you want to turn RDP on all of them. You'll do that with Active Directory and the group policy features built into Windows. So anyway, that's it. That's all you got to do. Turn RDP on, verify IPs, and then connect. Should take you all of about 10 minutes to get done. Enjoy your free 100. That'll help some of you out, I imagine. But other than that, unless there are any questions, that'll do it.